Every second, Americans light up thousands of cigarettes, fueling a multi-billion-dollar industry. According to the CDC, nearly 12% of adults in the US still smoke, even as the risks are well known. But what's really inside a cigarette that makes it so hard to quit? Each Marlboro cigarette contains a mixture of ingredients and manufacturing secrets that most people have never seen. What's the formula that keeps this iconic product at the top of the market and at the center of controversy? Stay tuned, because we're about to look inside the world's most engineered cigarette. Marlboro began in 1924 as a mild-as-May cigarette for women, but by the 1950s, its rebranding around the rugged cowboy made it the leading cigarette for men. Aggressive marketing and strict production control made Marlboro the best-selling brand in the world, representing both rugged independence and corporate power. Today, Marlboro's legacy is a story of evolving public attitudes, fierce competition, and the ongoing debate over tobacco's place in society. Most of Marlboro's tobacco comes from North Carolina, Kentucky, and Virginia, where the climate, long summers, and rich soil help grow high-quality leaves. Farmers begin in early spring, planting tiny tobacco seeds inside warm, humid greenhouses. Here, the seedlings grow in trays of rich soil under carefully controlled light and moisture. Once the weather turns mild, the young plants are moved outdoors and transplanted into long, even rows. From this moment, the real growing season begins. Special transplanting machines handle the job. Workers feed the seedlings into rotating wheels that drop each plant into the soil at perfect intervals. Water nozzles wet the roots as metal arms press the soil tight, fast and precise. During the growing season, tractors move slowly between the rows, loosening the soil on both sides. This keeps the roots aerated and stops weeds from competing for nutrients. Next, long spray booms coat the rows with a pale, milky liquid that looks like watered-down milk. It's a blend of fertilizer and minerals designed to thicken the leaves and deepen their color. When the plants reach full height, a tall machine glides through to cut off the flower tops. This topping step keeps all the plant's energy focused on the leaves, locking in the strength and flavor that define quality tobacco. By late August, the tobacco is fully grown. Mechanical harvesters cut the plants, and workers send them straight to curing barns before they spoil. Big tobacco farms can grow 2,000 to 3,000 pounds of cured leaf per acre each year, enough for millions of cigarettes. But the real transformation is only just beginning. Right after harvest, the tobacco stalks are hung on poles in large barns to cure for up to 8 weeks. Some barns use just air to dry the leaves slowly, while others use heated pipes to speed things up and boost the sugar content for a smoother taste. Once curing is done, the leaves are piled up in warehouses, where heat and humidity are carefully controlled for fermentation. This process breaks down chlorophyll and harsh chemicals, helping to mellow out the flavor and build that signature aroma. Every batch is tracked for temperature, moisture, and time, and workers regularly turn and test the piles to keep the quality consistent. But what happens next is where the artistry and the secrecy truly begins. The cured and fermented leaves are sorted by grade, origin, and how they were cured, then blended together using recipes that combine Virginia, Burley, and Oriental tobaccos. Before blending, workers spread the leaves across long conveyor belts, where scanners and cameras check for color, thickness, and texture. Each bale carries a barcode that traces its farm of origin, allowing the factory to fine-tune every mix with scientific precision. These blends are mixed in special rooms with big air filters to keep everything clean, and expert tasters ensure each batch meets the Marlboro standard. Inside these sealed blending rooms, massive drums rotate slowly, tossing hundreds of pounds of tobacco at once. Sensors track humidity and temperature, while technicians pull samples every few minutes to test aroma and burn rate, all to keep that unmistakable Marlboro consistency. Manufacturers spray on casing sauces, mixtures of sugar, cocoa, licorice, and secret ingredients to balance the strength and aroma. The sauce is gently heated before spraying, so it soaks deep into the fibers without burning them. As the leaves tumble in the rotating drums, the coating adds a faint shine and soft, sweet scent that signals the tobacco is ready for cutting. Machines then shred the leaves into even ribbons, and the moisture is carefully adjusted to make sure the tobacco rolls and burns properly. Each ribbon passes through a final conditioning tunnel, where bursts of warm steam restore flexibility. Moisture sensors continuously scan the flow. If it's off by even 1%, the system automatically corrects it, ensuring every cigarette burns slow and steady. Yet the most high-tech and high-speed part of the journey is still to come. The shredded, flavored tobacco moves toward the rolling floor, a section packed with high-speed machinery. Conveyor belts feed the tobacco into precise channels that spread it evenly across a continuous strip of paper. As the paper glides forward, rollers press and wrap it tightly into a long, unbroken rod. A thin line of heat-sealed glue keeps the roll firm and smooth. The entire process happens in seconds, with each line producing thousands of cigarettes every minute. At the same time, filter rods are formed from cellulose acetate fibers. They're cut into short pieces and automatically joined to the tobacco rods with perfect alignment, creating a seamless connection between the paper and the filter tip. Next, rotary blades slice the continuous rod into uniform lengths, about 84 millimeters for a standard king-size cigarette. Precision sensors and electronic scales check every stick for density, weight, and airflow before it leaves the machine. Finally, branding and packaging bring the process together. The Marlboro logo is heat-stamped onto each wrapper. Foil is added to keep freshness, and the finished cigarettes are packed neatly into the familiar red and white boxes, ready for shipment around the world. Quality control checks happen all the time. Random samples are tested for draw resistance, filter quality, and how evenly the tobacco is packed. In a single year, one Marlboro factory can send out billions of cigarettes, each pack carefully monitored from the farm to the local store. After a cigarette, what's the next daily ritual for millions of Americans? For many, it's coffee. According to the National Coffee Association, over 60% of Americans drink coffee every day, fueling a $100 billion global industry. But what's really inside coffee that makes you feel more awake with every sip? Today, we're following coffee's journey from remote farms to high-tech factories to your favorite mug, to see how one drink delivers the world's most popular wake-up call. Coffee has fueled people for centuries, first discovered in Ethiopia before spreading to the Middle East, Europe, and beyond. By the 20th century, advances in global trade and industrial roasting made coffee an everyday staple for Americans, from roadside diners to corporate boardrooms. Today, coffee is a $100 billion global industry, with specialty brews and convenience products reaching more people than ever. The journey starts on farms in Brazil, Colombia, Vietnam, and other coffee-growing regions, where altitude and climate shape the flavor and caffeine content of each bean. Coffee beans naturally contain caffeine, a powerful stimulant that acts as the plant's own pesticide, protecting it from insects and other threats. In fact, Robusta beans have almost twice as much caffeine as Arabica, thanks to this natural defense system. But while caffeine is present from the very beginning, the raw bean's natural state alone isn't enough to deliver the familiar energy boost or great taste. To make caffeine safe, enjoyable, and effective for people, the beans still need to go through careful processing, roasting, and brewing, steps that unlock and control the caffeine in every cup. After harvesting, the coffee berries are brought to the mill, where machines remove the tough outer shell and the fruit flesh, leaving just the coffee beans covered in a slimy layer called mucilage. Next, these beans are soaked in water to ferment for 12 to 48 hours. This step uses natural enzymes to break down and clean away the sticky mucilage around each bean. Once fermentation is complete, the beans are thoroughly washed with clean water to remove any remaining slimy layer. Finally, the clean beans are spread out to dry in the sun, or placed in mechanical dryers until they reach the standard moisture level for safe storage and transport. This entire process, Removing the shell and fruit, fermenting, washing, and drying helps preserve the beans, limits harmful toxins, and keeps the natural caffeine content and flavor precursors locked safely inside. But even after all this, the caffeine and flavors are still trapped, waiting to be unlocked in the next step. At the factory, dried green coffee beans are poured into large roasting drums and exposed to very high heat, often over 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 200 degrees Celsius. As the beans heat up, the high temperature breaks open their cell membranes, making it possible for caffeine and flavor compounds to be released later when brewing. Roasting triggers hundreds of chemical reactions that create the rich aroma and bold taste we recognize as coffee. The time and temperature of roasting also decide how light or dark the beans become, which can affect both the taste and the amount of caffeine in your cup. Once the beans are roasted to perfection, they are quickly cooled to lock in their flavors. But even after roasting, the caffeine and flavor still need to be extracted before you can enjoy your coffee. After roasting, the beans can be packed whole as roasted coffee beans, or they are ground into smaller pieces for different brewing methods. Grinding is done in the factory or right before brewing, depending on the desired freshness and intended use. Fine for espresso, coarse for French press, etc. Both packing and grinding are done carefully to protect the coffee from moisture, air, and light, which could cause it to lose flavor and caffeine over time. Proper packaging and grinding keep the coffee fresh and ready for brewing, whether at home or in a cafe. When you brew coffee, you pour hot water through ground roasted beans, either with a coffee maker, French press, or espresso machine. The hot water extracts caffeine and flavor compounds from the grounds, while the filter keeps the coffee grounds and most impurities out of your drink. This step is key for both safety and taste. It makes sure the caffeine is easy to absorb and that the coffee is pleasant to drink and safe for your health. How you brew, water temperature, grind size, ratio of coffee to water, and brew time all affect how much caffeine and flavor end up in your cup. While coffee fuels our mornings, bourbon is the spirit that brings people together after dark. Bourbon isn't just a drink, it's an American legend. According to the Distilled Spirits Council, over 30 million cases of bourbon are shipped from U.S. distilleries each year. How do grain, water, and time transform into the golden whiskey so many Americans love? Bourbon's story begins in the late 18th century, on the rolling hills of Kentucky. Early settlers, surrounded by fields of surplus corn, discovered that distilling grain into whiskey was both practical and profitable. Over generations, Kentucky's distillers perfected their craft, giving birth to what would become America's native spirit. But bourbon isn't just a regional specialty. In 1964, the U.S. Congress declared bourbon a distinctive product of the United States, protected by law. True bourbon must be made in the U.S., aged in new charred oak barrels, and produced from a mash that's at least 51% corn. It's a recipe that remains virtually unchanged for centuries, a combination of tradition, innovation, and American pride. It all starts with the grain. Distilleries source corn, rye, barley, and wheat, mostly from Kentucky and the Midwest, with corn making up the largest portion of the mash bill. Trucks deliver tons of grain to the distillery, where it's stored in towering silos before processing. High-powered mills then grind the grain into a fine meal, a critical step for breaking down starch and unlocking natural sugars. For the biggest distilleries, this means handling hundreds of tons of grain each month. Next, the ground grain is mixed with pure, limestone-filtered water in massive stainless steel cookers. The mash is heated in stages, activating enzymes that convert starches into fermentable sugars. Temperature, cooking time, and water-to-grain ratios are closely tracked for consistency, each batch carefully logged and tested. Once cooked, the mash is pumped into fermentation tanks, ready for the next transformation. This is where science meets tradition. Special strains of yeast, sometimes proprietary to each distillery, are added to the mash. Over 3 to 5 days, the yeast works its magic, turning sugars into alcohol and developing a complex range of flavors. The result? A sweet, tangy, beer-like liquid. Nothing goes to waste. Leftover stillage is often recycled as cattle feed. The fermented mash is now ready for distillation. It's pumped into towering column stills, where heat separates alcohol from water and impurities. What comes out is called White Dog, a clear, fiery spirit that's sampled and diluted to the perfect strength for aging. The next step is critical. New American oak barrels, charred on the inside, are filled and sealed. Every barrel is marked and stored in multi-story rickhouses, where Kentucky's unique climate helps shape the final flavor. Bourbon is aged for a minimum of 2 years, though premium brands often wait 4, 6, or even 10 years or more. Inside the barrels, whiskey absorbs color and flavor from the charred wood, with temperature swings driving interaction between liquid and oak. After aging, barrels are sampled, blended for consistency, then filtered and diluted to bottling strength. Automated lines fill, label, and seal thousands of bottles each day, with strict quality checks at every stage. From there, cases of bourbon are shipped to distributors, bars, and retailers across the country, ready for the next celebration, quiet night, or collector's shelf. From Marlboro cigarettes to coffee and bourbon, these products have each left a distinct mark on American culture. Whether they're part of daily routines, social gatherings, or quiet moments of reflection, they reflect the choices and traditions of many. By understanding how these familiar items are made and their place in our society, we can make more informed decisions about what we consume. If you're interested in the stories and science behind everyday products, be sure to subscribe to Captain Discovery. There's always more to explore, right here, every week.